Well, many thanks for joining us. You're watching QTV News, coming to you live from our studios along Kairaba Avenue. And I'm Ansmana Isonyasi. Coming up this evening, President Barrow in Sierra Leone for the country's independence anniversary on Tuesday had a meeting with members of the Gambian community in the country. Ami Bensouda, who served as Solicitor General and Acting Attorney General under the Gambia's military junta, has appeared before the TRRC. She denied that the decrees she drafted were what enabled the junta to violate people's human rights. The Ministry of Agriculture and the African Development Bank on Tuesday are seeking to establish a system of sectoral lending by financial institutions to agriculture and agribusinesses. In business news, we find out what impact the opening of the Senegambia Bridge has had on business. And in international news, Kenneth Kaunda, the first and former president of Zambia and the only African independence leader from the 1960s still alive, turns 97 today. And now we take a look at the news in detail. The Gambian community in Sierra Leone have pleaded with the Gambia government to help repatriate families that wish to return home. They made the plea during a meeting with President Barrow in Freetown. Aliou Cissé is in Freetown and he now reports.
The meeting was to meet and interact with Gambians in Sierra Leone to know their welfare with a view to address any concerns. There have long been citizens of Sierra Leone and Gambia living in each other's country, and the Gambia community in Sierra Leone predates independence. The meeting was held at Atlantic Lumley Hotel in Freetown. Speakers including Alhaji Babukar Sen, Haja Huleymatu Tunkara, Alfuseinu Samura, Alhaji Basila, Alassane Jabi, and Nafisatu Jabi, who traveled from across the country to attend, expressed delight at receiving the president. They used the opportunity to plead with the government through the president to help repatriate families that wish to come back home. They informed the president that some of the families' heads are dead and the families are now struggling to make a living. They are also concerned about the high charges of residential documentation, and they would like the government to negotiate with the government of Sierra Leone. These people have challenges traveling to the Gambia and doing business between Sierra Leone and the Gambia due to the current border crisis between Guinea-Conakry and Senegal. They urge President Barrow to help mediate between Guinea and Senegal to amicably resolve the border crisis for free movement of people and goods.
Musol futuja ibanta ye musol tuja enila dingol ngafo na ambassadeur ngo asa ho na president ngoy aye fere ka bende mala nyamende olwe bola jande nyamende ka saymia
ani immigration nga londo men soto je West Africa banku dolu ela godo do yata la about 50,000 lions until now over 1 million lions.
They would beg the presidents. Do you help we for picking let's so they get paper then, let them get the ID card.
On the other hand, they express appreciation of what they say is the development happening back home, such as the roads and bridges project in Basse. They assured the president of their support while asking for diaspora voting to be considered in next election. President Barrow applauded the Gambian community in Sierra Leone for the warm welcome accorded him. He said the concerns have been noted and the government will consider them for the welfare of Gambians in Sierra Leone. On the issue of repatriation, he said the government doesn't intend to repatriate anyone forcefully, but it must be mutually agreed. He said over logistics arrangement will be made to ensure a comfortable return home.
More forcé la al bebe to safela mo mela ko voluntarily il lafta sayla Gambia ninga wolong otumo nga jube mba organize la nyame nin ambassador and na foreign minister pour me sayni la nyame Gambia.
Reporting for QTV News from Freetown, Sierra Leone, I am Aliou Cissé.
Now, a former legal counsel at the Janet Commission, who also served as Solicitor General and later Attorney General under the military junta, on Tuesday appeared before the TRRC. Ami Bensouda told the Truth Commission that the decrees that were drafted by her office did not give any powers to the soldiers, but that they acted on their own in violating the rights of citizens. Babukar C tells us more.
Bensouda told the commission that she was appointed acting Solicitor General before taking up the role on permanent basis under the Jawara government and continued serving that portfolio when the military junta took over until 1995, when she was sacked from government service, after which she went into private practice. After the July 1994 coup, the witness told the commission that the country changed, as she was out of the country and came back a day after the coup to find state ministers arrested and detained. Ami Bensouda said when they met the leader of the coup, Yahya Jammeh, he gave the reasons for the military takeover.
The government was corrupt.
Ministers
were corrupt. Condemned the privatization program. Basically, he talked about the country in a way that I didn't recognize.
On the infamous decrees drafted and used by the junta after suspending the constitution, the witness disagrees the council's suggestion that the decrees drafted during her time gave power to the military. She said they were acting on their will.
No decree gave the military any power.
Decree to jeme sembo di sojarol.
The soldiers were already detaining people in Mile 2. Decree number 3 did not give the soldiers power to detain anyone.
When pushed by the council that the military used the decrees as a weapon to violate rights of people, particularly former senior government officials, the witness argued that the junta was just acting on their will, using their power to violate rights of citizens, and not because of the decrees allowed them to do so. When put to her that she assisted the soldiers in drafting those bad laws, the witness denied this.
Yes, I was the Solicitor General in charge of the Ministry of Justice. Were we to close our doors and ask everybody to go home? No. The country needed a government. Now that the legitimate government was gone.
She went further to narrate to the commission that decree number 1 did not give anyone the authority to torture anyone under detention. Thus, the claim that the decree legitimized torture or other human rights violations is incorrect.
It was created by them. It was enforced by them. It was amended by them when they saw fit. In fact, even where the decree said they could not do something, it did not prevent them from doing it because they had the power to do it.
Fatou Bensouda said she didn't regret the drafting of the decrees, as she and her team drafted it with a clear conscience, and following it or not was not their responsibility, and stressed that the country was chaotic and the soldiers were doing anything they wanted and no one dared to say anything.
I take no responsibility for the actions of the military. And for those of us who tried to stabilize the situation, I think we, in fact, are entitled to commendation.
Mrs. Bensouda said she takes no responsibility for or regret drafting the decrees during her time as acting Attorney General during the military junta. The witness ended her testimony by describing Yahya Jammeh as a monster who led people for his own selfish interests and enriched himself to the detriment of the people. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
The Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with the African Development Bank, on Tuesday held a stakeholder forum to establish an incentive-based risk-sharing facility to support sectoral lending by financial institutions to agriculture and agribusinesses. Ajibintu Drame reports.
The event is to validate the proposed Gambia incentive-based risk-sharing system for agricultural lending business plan. It is aimed at increasing and expanding agribusiness activities, as well as to improve and promote job creation in the country. Agriculture contributes about 20% to the Gambia's GDP, contributing hugely to the livelihoods of people living in the rural areas. Sekou Eke Jabi, the first Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia, hailed the timeliness of the validation as the country is at an advanced stage in the formulation.
To be a major pillar for the development of our economy and a means of reducing poverty, most especially in the rural areas where over 80% households depend on agriculture to their livelihoods. The sector contributes around 20% to the country's GDP and generates 30% of the total foreign exchange earnings. And the high importation of agriculture and rated products pose a threat to the stability of the Dalasi.
Steve O. Ogido, representative of Nigerian incentive-based risk-sharing system for agricultural lending, explains that the agricultural sector faces many challenges. He hopes the validation is realized and put into action.
I want to congratulate the government and the people of the Gambia for the bold step already taken in initiating discussions and studies that we are validating today. As we all know, Africa is blessed with significant agricultural opportunities: the land, the water, the ecology, the labor, and the market. But despite all these opportunities and potentials we have in Africa, and despite enabling government policies and environment, there are many challenges that agriculture in Africa is still facing.
Hassan Jallo, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, urged participants to take the validation more earnestly and find a way forward.
The establishment of GAMISAL therefore aligns well with the second generation of the Gambia National Agricultural Investment Plan, Food and Nutrition Security, and the National Development Plan 2018-2021, which is committed to modernizing agriculture to stimulate inclusive growth of the Gambian economy through employment opportunities for the teeming active and youthful population.
Agriculture is said to be the backbone of the Gambia's economy. However, it could be seen that most farmers are engaged in subsistence farming, particularly in the rural areas. With this initiative, it is hoped that it will address the necessary changes and complement the objectives of the National Development Plan and agricultural change actors. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
And that report by Ajibintu Drame will lead us to the commercial break, but
in the Gambia, and we share profits with our clients. So why wait? Visit any Ajibank Limited branch today and open your savings account, current or salary account, and enjoy the halal beauty of Islamic banking in line with the Sharia. Ajibank Limited, your investment partner.
The Insurance Association of the Gambia, IAG, in consultation with the Central Bank of the Gambia, now introduces a standardized and well-scrutinized motor vehicle insurance certificate, which will be the acceptable evidence of a valid motor vehicle insurance contract. The certificate has the following security features: 1. High quality printed in multiple colors with no white margin as in other paper sheets. 2. Dual serialized number print, one visible and the other visible only with an ultraviolet light. 3. IAG logo inscription that can only be visible with the use of an ultraviolet light. 4. Hologram of IAG logo. The general public is therefore advised to take note of the above development and kindly urge to ensure that they obtain only authentic motor vehicle insurance certificate with the above features from only licensed insurance. We thank you and solicit your cooperation.
Welcome back. Be reminded you're watching QTV News, coming to you live from our studios along Kairaba Avenue. And I'm Ansmana Esonyase. Now, digital rights are access to freedom of expression and privacy to access, use, create, and publish digital media. Well, the Give One project over the weekend held a stakeholders forum to brainstorm on improving digital rights in the Gambia. Jennifer Sonko's report is narrated by Loli M. Kamara.
Give One Project Gambia, a non-governmental organization, has been raising awareness about digital rights in the Gambia since May 2015. They're the only organization to submit a position paper on digital rights during the constitutional review process. Their position paper included a demand to provide equal access to technology and communications to all citizens, including marginalized groups, by removing barriers to access and improving affordability, as well as expanding infrastructure and preventing internet disruptions. Now that the draft constitution has been rejected and several attempts to revive are still futile, Give One brings together stakeholders to work on the way forward on digital rights in the Gambia.
All of our participants today, as I mentioned before, from the National Assembly members, policymakers, lawmakers, as well as people from the media houses. These people here today are going to discuss on the things like who governs the internet, things like what policies are set in place that should, disregard internet shutdown, and that should protect the rights and privacy of people who use the internet. So these things are very crucial in every country, honestly, and we're going to come up with recommendations that are going to be passed to the lawmakers as well as the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology to ensure that one of these things, most of these things that we recommended, because we feel like it is very important to have these things in our country and ensure that they're implemented.
Among the participants were the National Assembly Select Committee on ICT. Considering that National Assembly members pass, amend and propose laws, their involvement is vital. Alajimbo, MP for Upper Salum and a member of the Select Committee on ICT, takes us through how digital rights can be strengthened after a missed opportunity when the draft constitution was rejected.
However, the draft is no more. I think there is a need for us to actually look at the Communication Act of 2009 holistically, just to ensure that those rights, especially digital rights, are fully captured. Because again, we live in an electronic world, and then again, the internet actually makes the entire world borderless right now. And transactions, communications, data, voice, everything is flowing all over the place, and every person now is trying to connect to the internet or connect to some kind of application to be able to do whatever they need to do in terms of work, in terms of leisure, etc., etc. So I think there's a need for us to come up with comprehensive laws, since we don't have the draft anymore, but to also come with comprehensive laws in terms of digital rights.
Frequent internet outages and overall instability can make everyday life increasingly frustrating, impeding both national development and individual growth. Rights such as the right to assembly and associate are violated. One of the suggestions made was to have the Human Rights Commission of the Gambia give special attention to digital rights as they are human rights too. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
In observance of the holy month of Ramadan, all Allah Spa and partners on Sunday gave free food to Muslims to end their fast following a cleaning exercise conducted around the Senegambia hotel and restaurant area. This story by Lamin Dabo is narrated by Loliam Kambara.
Despite the COVID-19 battering the Gambia tourism sector, the tourism development area deserves to be kept clean and tidy. This, coupled with the blessings of Ramadan, was what motivated the management of Olala Spa management and partners to take action. At the event, Pa Sule Bahum, the manager of Olala Spa, says the initiative is part of their institution's social corporate responsibility to serve the community.
We're doing it because here we have a lot of restaurants in here. So cleanliness is next to godliness. So we deem it fit that we also have to make sure that the environment is clean as far as spa is concerned. So we need the hygiene aspect of it have to be demonstrated. And this is why we started. This is the first time, and we're trying that at least every month or so we will engage in other areas where we think it need to be cleaned. The advice that I have for people, especially as far as the settle is concerned, and being the fact that we are also in the COVID time, so I think it's also good we try to make sure that the environment is kept clean. It doesn't only stop here. Everyone have to make sure that wherever you are, it have to be kept clean. And this is what we have demonstrated. Like I said, we are a spa with a difference. We're not only going to stop here. Other people, I want them to emulate us, because if we're doing our part and everyone is also joining hand in gloves to make sure that at least their area is clean, so we will live a healthy environment.
And Sumana Sanyang, a representative of Jatugais Bakery, says it is a duty for every Gambian to contribute towards community development. Jatugais Bakery is very much delighted to be associated with the cleaning exercise and giving iftar through the invitation of Olala Spa. The activity is part of serving our country through community service. We thank all those who participated in this exercise. Our sincere thanks goes to QTV for their good work. Assis Dixon, the CEO of Zion Bakery, praises Olala Spa for coming up with the initiative, describing it as timely and worthy to emulate.
We are going to give away about 150 sweet bread and 150 in normal $10 bread. So for to show our appreciation and our support in the society.
Fatou Gueye, the deputy spa manager at Olala, delivered the vote of thanks. We thank all those who participated in this activity. I have been working in spas for 14 years, but this is the first time I have witnessed such an initiative. We are glad as staff of Olala Spa and hope that others will emulate us so that the community will be cleaner, as the name spa goes with cleanliness. Olala Spa conducted the cleaning in collaboration with other sponsors, Smiling Organics, Dr. Dafaron and Family, Dr. Raisa, Wasak Group, CPAM, and Gamway Sipin. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Commendable. Well, we will now take a look at business news in a moment. Yellow Tenda Bamba Tenda used to be one of the busiest ferry crossing points in the country. The opening of the Senegambia Bridge connecting the north and south bank of the Gambia appears to have had a great impact on nearby businesses, leaving vendors at the site worried. Bakay Balde paid a visit and he tells us more.
Vendors we spoke to at the Senegambia Bridge are not happy with their daily sales revenue, which they said have been greatly impacted since the bridge opened in January 2019. Many said they are facing serious challenges. Umar Khan, a vendor, explains the situation.
ñun ñu ngi fi nekk ci ay mbaar si naaj bu tàng bi métti na si ñun ba nga xamante ni du sax la ñëpp mën a wax ndaxte.
After the completion of the bridge, we have been sitting under the hot sun and things are so difficult for us here. Previously, we were in better structures, but now we are in makeshift canteens. Many people have lost their jobs here. When they demolished this place, some were compensated, but I did not receive anything. We are here because we have nowhere to go. We want the government to help us.
Fat Dabo of Jara Junoy, who sells mangoes, revealed that she has been selling here for more than a decade. She also mentions that they are facing numerous difficulties since the commissioning of the bridge. She has some suggestions as to what could be done to ease the situation.
We find it difficult to sell our mangoes. Our business will be more profitable if there are companies that will buy mangoes from us and process them into juice. That money will help us to take care of our families.
Teka and Umar Job, both shopkeepers, highlighted that since the inauguration of the bridge, selling has become difficult and frustrating. They both spoke of the promises made about assisting them to lessen the impact of the bridge.
Before, we used to sit and wait for customers to buy from us. Now, we run after the cars to sell to customers. I don't have a choice, that's why I am here. It was all right for me when the ferry was operating, but things are tough now. The vehicles will come speeding and won't stop. We just don't have anywhere to go.
Despite the challenges, these vendors are determined to continue with the hope that things will change for the better. Reporting for QTV News, I am Bakari Balde.
Now, in international news, Kenneth Kaunda, the former president of Zambia and the only independence leader from the 60s still alive, turns 97 today. Adedrami tells us more.
Their names roll off the tongue, and they are recognized as the founding fathers of their nations. Dawda Jawara of Gambia, Milton Magai of Sierra Leone, Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya, and Seda Senghor of Senegal, to name a few. For Zambians, that man is Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who was born, the last of 8 children, on the 28th of April, 1924. At Zambia's independence, Kaunda was 42 years old and would serve as the country's first president from 1964 to 1991. Zambia is a landlocked country in East Africa, bordered by Angola, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. In spite of its size and mineral wealth, which was worth £100 million a year at the time of its independence from Britain, the country registered only 4 African doctors, 6 African lawyers, and 1 African engineer. At the time, there were 70,000 whites who controlled much of the country. Kaunda set about changing that. His task was made easier by the fact that many of the whites were from the racist nations of Rhodesia, which was later to be renamed Zimbabwe, and South Africa. Many left Zambia as they did not want to live in a nation that was ruled by Africans. Kaunda said one of his first duties was putting a pint of milk and an egg on every Zambian's breakfast table and a pair of shoes on every Zambian's feet. In 1973, following tribal and inter-party violence, all political parties except Kaunda's UNIP were banned through an amendment of the constitution. At the same time, Kaunda oversaw the acquisition of majority stakes in key foreign-owned companies. International pressure eventually forced Kaunda to change the rules that had kept him in power. Multi-party elections took place in 1991, in which Frederick Chiluba, leader of the movement for multi-party democracy, defeated Kaunda. After losing the 1991 election, Kaunda took a backseat in Zambian politics. In 1999, and despite being the nation's founding father, he was stripped of his citizenship by a high court over claims that he was a Malawian, not a Zambian. His father is Zambian and his mother Malawian. The decision to strip away his citizenship was condemned around the world, and it was restored. From the 1960s right through to the early 1990s, Kaunda was very much at the forefront of regional, continental, and global African politics as a respected elder statesman. Today, we wish him a happy 97th birthday. For QTV News, I am Ade Darami.
Indeed, our best wishes to President Kaunda, and I'm afraid that's all about it, but do join us tomorrow for more news. Until then, on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching.